Hi, everybody. Uh, just a thank you for people who have sent in a few questions. Really appreciate it, actually.
You didn't turn the volume up.
I think the volume was up, right up.
No, you're not.
We're just going to
Okay.
check it here. I think there's a time lag between this a computer and Marlene's computer. This question is from Natalie. Hope everyone is doing reasonably well. And this question is, and that wasn't from Natalie, that was from me, by the way. Good to start off with a smile. I'm wondering about how hard it is to be kind to ourselves and why that is so. Also noticing a potential relationship between that and the tendency towards escapism of various kinds, whether watching too much TV or reading too much fiction, etc. Some answers to this are pretty obvious, and yet making changes in these patterns is kind of difficult. Is living life in ourselves from moment to moment really that hard? I know this is rather a silly question, but there's a real one in there somewhere if you can find it. Thanks, Natalie. Well, there's a dilemma, and I think this touches all of us. We live in, wherever you are, Canada, US, the UK, and we're involved with, very strangely, a normal human life. And here we are, attempting to engage into something that is truly amazingly wonderful. But all of our emphasis, really basically on a daily basis, is here in the being right here in the now, in the present, which means our mind is shifted from time to time towards spirituality, or whatever you want to call it, a movement in relationship towards higher states, if that could be spoken about with any kind of rationale. And primarily what we're trying to do is move towards perceiving the energy that we have around us, and in us, as the first steps of a willingness to allow a perception of something a lot more subtle. Think about that for a second. If you have some awareness of the energy around you, and by the way, one of the reasons why you kind of look into observing yourself in action and reaction, of course, is so that you can increase your awareness level. That is a first step. And in doing this, what you begin to notice is that by doing it, there is an actual pause and perhaps a reflection into what's going on and what you think you see, and then realizing that what you're looking at is you today engaging in how you function. That's it. Stop. In doing this, you are stimulating a willingness to watch rather than judge. rather than elevate. So this is how I function, a person could say. Okay. Wow. All right. What do you think? You feel comfortable with that? Well, often the answer has got to be probably yes, no matter what it looks like, because it really is in the nature of how you function and have functioned. Starting, of course, as you've heard me talk about a number of times, in the early days of your engagement with life. The anxiety, the frustration, the happiness, the joy, the vulnerability, the hiding of the vulnerability, or from it, or the rationale that you have for being the way you are, doing what you think you need to do to be somehow engaged and remain the same as you were before. This is the nature of what we do here on this planet. It has always been that way. And those who have moved towards something else have done so as human beings. Yes, today we have TV. Yes, today we have books that we read instead of scrolls that only the well-educated might be able to read. Yes, today we have moments where we don't have a lot to do, and sometimes we have overly too much to do. We're always trying to fill our time with something. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. We don't live in a cave. We don't live in a society that is quite pleased to watch you walk down the street mumbling a number of mantras so that you can, over the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years or lifetimes, become more spiritual. There's no elegance in it. There's no being elitist in it unless you do all that stuff yourself and you project that and engage it so that others can see it, so that you're looked upon as really wonderful or whatever. Look, we're all human beings here. That's what we are. Figure it out. If you like to read fiction, or nonfiction for that matter, or play tennis, or do whatever it is you think you need to do, then do it. Because if you don't, you will be looking for something else to do. Chances are it will not be getting on in a lotus position and meditating, because it's not the nature of what happens here in this Western world. And when it is often, you do it so that others can notice that you do it. And I'm not talking about the middle of the street here. I'm talking about how you talk to other people about what you do and how able you are and this and that. That is the nature of a materialistic orientation. That is often called spiritual. We live in a world where the 21st century and 20th century has a strong impact. Also, I must admit, these days, in a world where other centuries are having an impact as well in our process of thinking. Whatever that may be for you, remember you are a human being. It's not hard to handle. And if you have an idea about what you have to do to be spiritual, you'll be shocked to find out that those who really are able engage with life in a normal manner in our 21st century. They do the job that they usually have. They might read a book. They might write a bit. They might constantly be in a relationship with inquiry out of curiosity and also out of attempting to become a being that is internally engaging with oneself, not to elevate or put down, but to notice. It's very interesting. Those able beings are often telepathic. You can't fake this one. You know, it's just fantastically interesting. The telepathy that they're involved with is the recognizing and the acknowledgement of a relationship that occurs between each and every individual. It's a different kind of telepathy than what we might read in a metaphysical book that relates primarily to personality stuff. Even though their personality is stretched and more open to helping others, they would never think of putting them in not so comfortable positions. And this goes for personality beings who can engage with layers, the early layers of astral planes or mental planes are very, very physically oriented and primarily focused on their own personalities. This is an aspect, this happens. This is part of what happens to you as a growing being. Your first number one thing that you think of, honestly, is you becoming this or that, being able to do this or that. That is normal here. That's where we are. Read something that helps you to broaden out the way you see humanity in a as constructive manner as possible. Recognize that we're not always all constructive. And that includes you. The you I'm talking about is not Natalie, it's all of us. The level of function that we carry in our hearts normally operates around the personalization and the individual independence of an individual, of that personality, which desperately needs validation. To feel comfortable inside of yourself, you might have to read a good book. You might have to play a game of some kind. To comfort yourself, if you wish to do so, in relationship to a higher state, is to begin to learn how to relearn how to love yourself with kindness, with no disrespect to others, with an engagement that's deeper than the surface, with an engagement that doesn't want to be like others and doesn't want to be like you. And what I mean by that is your reflexive responses. Check them out. Don't beat them up. Check them out. And when you see something that might be a little bit harsh in your responses, move to attempt to soften them down. Why would you do that? Because higher state energy coming in to move you even to a little bit of a next level will first of all move you more into the level you're in. So you can be the helper of you and the caretaker of you. This is not so simple, not so easy, and it's just not a bunch of words put together. This is difficult in relationship to the experience that you have within you. It's counter to becoming superior to others, or even talking like you are. None of us have an easy time with this one. Don't care who it is. Much engagement with life is wish fulfillment. And strangely, in a positive way or a not so positive way. In other words, I wish I could, and if I can't, I will. So there. It doesn't work like that, but that's just an aspect of how life is lived here. So negating a person who lives like that is not helpful. And we have enough of that in our culture, as every other culture does, by the way. Nobody's exempt from this. You can act like you are, but you're not. And none of that is missed by anyone who has any kind of a subtler awareness at all. But here's the trick. It's not focused on. You're not judged by it. It's just noticed. Seen, recognized, because it's part of this plains experience. We have a need to want to be more able than we are. And sometimes we build glass houses about it all. And there's just glass houses. In other words, they're imagined. Imagination helps us to keep going and not stop. But then you begin to be okay with seeing what's imagined and smile a bit. And you learn to trust internally, not the way you see you in some sort of elevated position or down position, but trust internally that you can continue and that perhaps higher states don't hold the grudge about you being as you are. You do. You can. No one's perfect in this. Fess it out for yourself. In the meantime, read what you feel comfortable with. In between your reading, meditate a bit. Try to find that place inside yourself that can be okay with perceiving a tremendous level of loving the amount of love that we put forward so that we can continue to be as we are is a kind of proof how much vulnerability lies within us. Or I could have said will instead of love. It's not such an easy thing to know the difference between the two. But virtually, we have a tremendous amount of loving everyone. No exceptions. Don't care if you don't agree with somebody's version of how life is or shouldn't be. They are loving that this second. You are loving the way you grumble, the way you judge, the way you are happy. This second. See it as such, if you can, but you have an option. You don't always have to agree with you. Should you choose that option, almost mission impossible, you'll find that you will start laughing a bit. First of all, you'll feel weird, perhaps, or not. If you're always right, you'll never feel weird at all. You'll be weird, but you'll never feel weird. Then laugh at being weird. Slow it all down a little bit. I mean, your indignance and your definite value, be okay. God, do I really do that, one could say. Just add from time to time, maybe. But then broaden out, open a little bit about what you can attempt to do. You'll find that, for example, if you're a little older in the tooth like I am and you happen to take a course someplace, you'll find that you may not agree with the professor or the teacher. So what? It's the teacher teaching you. If you can remind yourself of that, maybe you can open to something, seeing it differently. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe you can't. Then, of course, you quit, right? It's very interesting. Quitting's easy. But here's the thing. Live life. Get to know what it is the best you can. You'll come to walls, the walls of your making, as I have many times, where you feel as if you can't go farther in something. So, we do a dance. And you value it. But then you begin to ask the questions. Why am I doing it this way? Is this valuable? And you're talking to yourself, so you'll say, to me. In other words, to yourself. And some things, because of your history, you will call that or this, or something else, valuable. And the only way to do it, it's not real, but you'll call it that. That is okay. It's a wall. You're not seeing it, and you won't. But every now and then you will. For the love of you, see it the best you can. And you will open your awareness to subtler things as opposed to only to you. This question of Natalie's is a question that everyone probably would ask, because when you're thinking of spiritual stuff, you're thinking of spiritual stuff. But when you're thinking of things that you would feel comfortable doing, you'll do them. It's how we do things. Leave it a little time. Make an appointment with yourself. It's not a big deal. Spend a half an hour in a form of meditation that allows you to let go of your personalization, where you're not seeking you, but you're seeking something beyond you. Try that. It's hard because we're trained to think of us. That's why it's hard. It's big training stuff. If you don't do it in a certain way, somehow the value of you goes down. And there are billions of certain ways. You're not very special. You're really special. Internally. And you're reaching into a state where you perceive that internal flow, not the one around your personality, the one that flows into you and opens your heart so that you can barely perceive your personality. This is a little bit different. I know they're only words. I know those words are difficult. It's not the words that are difficult. They're easy. It's the inner experience is difficult. Because one natural thing on these planes is for us to engage quite materially. And we see our personalities quite material. This one versus that one versus this. What she says versus that other person. And all of that is part of the nature of our relationship here. That will occur. Even if you think you don't do it, you'll do it. Let yourself see it. And gentle it down. Don't feel bad because you did it. Just, okay, easy does it. That one's not so simple. And most of the folks that I've met elsewhere in other countries who are really able, they are affected. Really able people are affected by other people. And they're also affected by themselves. These are beings of consciousness growing internally. They look like you and I. They are just focused on something other than what would be called normal. And their kindness is overwhelming in a very broad way. And their respect for people who are growing. Also, very respectful. In their vast memory, they know the limitations that are strong in all of us, because they have engaged with these in their long memory. So I hope that happens to be helpful, Natalie. So try to help yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. And don't be afraid to take a break. And if you find that you're taking a break is more important to you, then do that for a while and see how it makes you squirm or feel. There's no confessional to anybody except to yourself. That's key. And when you see that, say, okay, let's see if I can do a little bit better and name a place and go for it. Keep meditating best you can. Thank you for the question. And here's another one by Elizabeth Toslin from the UK. What is the reason some people jump in time regarding their spiritual growth and are not aware of doing so? What was decided for that to happen? It's an interesting question, depending on what take you might have on it, Betty. You can meet people who are not aware. I'm talking about awareness. I'm talking about awareness of that higher flow coming in an extremely subtle manner. I've met people who are aware, quite conscious of their emotional disposition, which has been either gentle, soft, or not so gentle. And they are in relative stages of their particular development. And I've met people who are internally quite developed and haven't yet attained an awareness of their particular development. They may have been able in previous lifetimes, if you can handle that kind of a response. And they don't remember their lifetimes, nor do they need to, but they don't remember that they are constantly giving in a manner that relates to those lifetimes. Now, what do I mean by that? What I really mean by that is they're living a normal life currently that we would call normal. They go to work, they have families, they engage with life, they're happy, they're unhappy, they're all the stuff that we go through. And for example, their inner system may be on, and energy could and does transmit through them from a higher state, but they're not aware of it. Because in this life, at this point, their awareness is not as strong as it could be yet. There's a purpose for that. And here's roughly the purpose, from my perspective, of course. Because they have been able in previous lifetimes, they come into this one and live in the depth of a normal life. Not very aware of anything other than what they need to be aware of, and often they can have great jobs, they can be real fine people, or poor, but working and functional right in the midst of society, wherever that may be. And the purpose of why they're there is, as they begin to grow and become more aware, they're helping others right in that level of society to grow more. As you know, there's 8 billion people in the world currently, roughly. In the middle of that, let's say down about 4 billion, in the middle of, but you can't do that in sociological terms, but in the middle of how we function in the multiplicity of cultures that we have on these planes. The multiplicity of cultures could be of any culture. That person begins to engage a little bit more consciously, doesn't have to be much, and that energy becomes a part of what they live with and live in, and suddenly they become aware of the realization that somehow, not quite known, somehow they are helping society to grow. Society. I'm not talking about particular cultures here. I'm talking about all forms of society to grow right in the midst of our species. As that occurs, energy can flow into others through them for the purpose of helping others who are not quite as well developed internally yet. There's a big misunderstanding between internal development and external development. Ultimately, they're both the same. But initially, they are not. So, a person may be very able in some ways, not able in others at all. And in that internal ability, that means that they can handle subtlety because their system is set up to do so. And I'm talking about the chakra or Zephyrothic system. The ability to handle subtle energy coming in sounds strange when we're set up to think that we handle piles of energy coming in. And there's a big difference between the two. We can't let that heavy, aggressive energy get too much involved with our personalizations, because it can be very hard on our physical bodies, our emotional system. Has many levels. It can be tremendously strong and tremendously soft rather than weak. And I'm talking about that flow. The trick is to get it to be soft enough so that you can see subtleties within the flow and know when it's not yours. It's the big thing. It's really difficult. It's not easy at all. I had a trick and have a trick in my process with that. I don't know whether there's any interest in anybody. I say, none of it's mine. And I've always said that. Problem with that is, if none of it's yours, then you have to try to figure out, well, whose is it then? There's no whose to it. It's not about whose. It's about an engagement with and a purpose for. purpose is always to help others to grow. That's the service purpose. So that internalization, whether that person knows it or not, is to help others to grow. And growing is not becoming powerful, it's becoming more subtle and more engaging with such a level of loving that doesn't only focus on the personalization. This is very hard for us because our whole life is focused on the need to be somewhat personalized, otherwise we can't survive very well. Or we can't think of ourselves as valuable or right, wrong. You know, this same old adage that keeps creeping up all the time. Good, bad. So when we're looking at this is a very sophisticated question. And depending on your belief system, could be also biased. But it's interesting to look at it from a point of view, because I've been fortunate enough to meet people that are so subtle. They engage normally and will never bring attention to themselves for the purpose of being elevated in some way. Actually, all of us, I hope everybody can hear this one, are only in a process of growth. And the more our walls are tighter, the slower that process can be engaged with. Even if your awareness becomes strong with your personality, the hope is always that the subtlety becomes available to us. And I think it's, in my opinion, it's within the capability of everyone to have that particular thing occur. But personalities are such, and they are constructed for the purpose of survival. Let's say, another way to put that, how could we do that? For the purpose of allowing our images to be valued. Stopping there instead of saying by others or by ourselves. But both of those add-ons are very important to us in various stages of our growing. So the key is help each other the best you can, because nobody can do this perfectly. We always have this need to be valued perhaps more than others. It is a toughie. It's hard to loosen up because many of us are trained to do it differently, just because we're afraid to do it any less. Fear plays a big part in our relationship with daily life, especially in engaging with things, playing games, being politically astute, being spiritual, having material wealth, having a good memory. As you get older, you might lose a little bit of that. I can only say that for myself, I guess. So none of us are perfect. Remember that in your most self-assessing moments, whether they're not so nice or very nice and attractive to you. Remember that. Those higher states know that we're not perfect, and you can't fool them. Sorry, guys. So, which moves me to another question. I think, hang on. I'm using my iPad here, so apologize for a little bit of a pause. See if I can find, I think it's Jennifer's question. Oh, no? Well, maybe I'll do Jennifer's first. How are we doing for time? Okay. Hi, Ron. Is it effective to meditate 5 to 10 minutes several times a day, or is it more beneficial to do 20 to 30 or more minutes in one setting? You know, it reminds me of a conversation I had a lot of years ago, probably in the 90s, when I had this friendly guru that I was talking to through an interpreter. I kind of, at that point, back in the 70s, had read something that related to how long a person needed to meditate to become enlightened. Quite amazing, actually. Because, of course, you know, being lit up to an nth degree means there's no personality in you. You're like a shell. In other words, there is silence in you related to that flow of loving energy, which, by the way, is more peaceful than anything you can imagine. So, but the personality is the thing that interprets it, you see. So, in discussing this question, I said to him, how many hours of meditation do you do a day? He says, at first, only 3. Only 3 hours. And I said, oh, you could do them 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening, because I knew this is not what he did. So anyway, he said, no, I do them all in a row. But he said later on, I do all day. And I said, okay, this is a shift in consciousness. This is not a shift in will to do things all day, or to do it for 3 hours either. Because if any of you have tried to meditate for 3 hours in a row while being aware, you know what that isn't what you can do. Now, hopefully out there, everybody will say, oh yeah, I can do that better than anybody. Then go for it. I would have really loved that, because at some point, you would begin not to want to not do it. You would want to stay there. I know that this is true. I know it works this way. This is real. So, the idea of meditating 10 minutes 3 or 4 times a day is not a negative idea in our world. And here's why. You may be a busy person. You may be in a relationship. You may be hardworking. You might need to be that. You might spend your time doing something that might be really important to you. I mean, more important than becoming spiritual, which of course you really don't know what that's going to be, because the definitions of spirituality are inconsistently real. No offense to anybody. If that's all the time you have, please do it with awareness, with gentleness, with love, for something beyond yourself. And see if you can notice the increase in love for yourself, not for your antics in growing, just a clear sense of loving that comes in. You may notice the heart center gets stronger. You might notice a number of your centers, including the root and gonad center and solar plexus, throat, brow. I've got to cover them all. Crown may get stronger, but they will be soft and gentle. Be okay with that. If you can meditate for a half an hour, please do so. Try to notice, first of all, the level of energy that is normal for you. And that will be relative to your personality's engagement with life. Don't put it down. Don't lift it up. Just say, okay, I got it. That's a little bit. Sometimes it can be a little strong. Sometimes not. Know it. Get to know it. Soften down a little bit the best you can. If that doesn't work, then talk to yourself. Mind you, my father said never talk to yourself, but I do. Easy, Ron. Or you can say your name. I would appreciate that, Jen. And soften down a little bit, best you can. And let go. See if you can let go. You'll watch your body will be stiff. Your arms will be this way. Your neck will be that way. Whoever it is. And some of you will say, I am perfectly peaceful, calm all the time. Sooner or later, you'll get deeper, and you'll recognize that that was your personality talking. Your personality had to be focused to say that. So what? Say it anyway. Just ask that you can get deeper than that. Be okay with it. Whatever comes up. Just stages. Just stages. Be okay with that. You don't have to tell anybody about it. This is real internal research. Be okay with it. If you have an hour to meditate, please use an hour to meditate. I'm not talking about falling asleep here. You know the tools. If you start drifting, move your head forward and back, ever so softly, caringly, gentle, easy, so that you can maintain awareness. Maintain it the best you can. In the maintaining, when you are maintaining it, what you can do is just be aware, stretch your mind out to a point that you're aware behind you, around you, above you, forward. It's not a competition to stretch out 34 feet. If you do that, and you can, it can be an engagement with your ability based on your personality. You're not trying to do that. But you can do it. It's very possible. You can reach out to India. Yeah, you can. But you're trying to reach out to open so that those higher levels can come in and show you what higher levels are. One drop, tremendous peace. One engagement, loving beyond belief, quiet, changes everything. So, it's not about minutes, it's about the experience. Be patient with yourself and kind and respectful, the best you can. I know people think that that's a weakness from time to time. Let them think that way. It's not real. It's just a belief, a kind of understanding that is based on training. They have the capability, even those the way they think, of softening that down. They have that capability. But the wall of the personality can, like the rest of us, get in the way. Beliefs are very powerful. Easy. You'll notice them, the solar plexus will get stronger. The root will get stronger. The will get stronger. Ease it off the best you can. If you need help with that, don't assume it's the right thing to be like that. Ask for help. Even if it comes, it'll be hard to take it. But it's available. Tremendous levels internally. I really wish you well with this one, Jennifer. It'll be great. Like I said, if you don't have time for anything else, do the 10 minutes. Do it 3 or 4 times a day. But remember, when you're doing it, it's the experience inside you're searching for. Go slow. No judgment on this one. Please. If you had 1 minute of gentle peacefulness, silence, it's worth every second. It will affect you. It will increase your reactions because you will have to defend against it. Okay. Then see it. Oh, I defended against it. Could that be what happened? Just you're talking to yourself. Who else is going to hear it? Don't tell anybody else about it. They'll tell you 1,000 things, including, oh, it never happens to them because they're always peaceful. Don't listen to it. Do the best you can. That'll be them looking after them. Is it allowed? Absolutely. Do as you can. Looks like our time is up. We're going to meditate, but I wish you all well. My goodness. It's a wonderful thing to move into and through this process of growing spiritually.
Jagadambe Janani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Mamba Lalita Devi Tvam Ananda Sagari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Sarvamangala-mangalye Shive Sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Triambake Devi Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om
Now we'll just begin to do the balancing and grounding, and have a good evening. Good night.